Okay, let's go to the waiver wire. Next week we have 12 teams with 3 games. All other teams have 4 games. It'll be a fun news week, I'll tell you that much. Let's go to my available in 50% of leagues player, Nick Richards of the Charlotte Hornets, 51% roster in Yahoo, only 9% in ESPN. Hornets have just 3 games next week, but he's just a must roster player at this point. Mark Williams, who was starting at center for Charlotte, is day to day with a sprained thumb, but I imagine they hold him out the rest of the season. We also know how Charlotte is with injury reporting; they don't do it, so I just think he's out. Past 6 games for Nick Richards, 9.3 points on 71% for the field, and almost more importantly, 89% from the free throw line on 3 attempts a game. He's been great all season from there. That really helps his fantasy value in category leagues. That goes along with 10 boards, 2 blocks, and a dime and a half.
Hey, he was the cover guy last week's waiver wire video and proving us right. Love to see the blocks. Rebounds are huge. And when a center can give you good free throw percentage, that's huge. Unusual.
Yeah. Ken, who is your player this week?
We're going to go out to Portland to a guy who Alex last year called the tanking king. Trendon Watford of the Portland Trailblazers managed in only 29% of Yahoo, only 6% of ESPN leagues. Portland has 4 games next week. I think the Blazers are going to shut down Jeremy Grant and Anthony Simons, who are both dealing with small injuries. They're 3.5 games out of the play-in, with Utah and Oklahoma City of them between them and the play-in as well. Sorry, it's Anthony Simons. I butchered that. My apologies to the Simons family. The second-year forward, Watford, over the last 5 games, he's had 4 starts, almost 13 points, almost 7 rebounds, 2.4 stocks, with great percentages, 52% from the field, 80 from the line, and 1 triple a game. Trendon Watford, he might be the tanking king yet again. Hop on that train for those weird starting lineups to end the season.
Another team I'm more worried about shutting down a bunch of players than the Rockets. Yeah, Portland and Watford. Great suggestion. My first pickup recommendation is actually going to be twofold. I've got Marvin Bagley for my Detroit Pistons and Jonathan Kuminga of the Golden State Warriors. Moneybags has been on fire over the past 2 games. He is a top 5 fantasy option per game over the past week. He is averaging over those 2 games 35 and a half minutes, 22 and a half points, hitting a couple 3-pointers per game, 5.5 rebounds, 3 stocks, 60% from the floor, 83%. This isn't a 2-game hot streak. This is the new normal for my man.
New normal.
But no, in all seriousness, I think Bagley, I like him in daily leagues and daily pickups as an option, but I do worry about his role in the rotation. Essentially, the Pistons have been shorthanded almost every game that Bagley has exploded, and they could sit him every other game for the remainder of the season. I know for the upcoming game, Duren, Wiseman, and Bagley are all healthy. So we'll get a good insight on how Bagley's production will look in that scenario, which there hasn't been many games where all 3 have been active. With Kuminga, I actually think there's a chance that we'll see the Warriors get locked into whatever it may be, the 5 or 6 seed, and then rest some of their veterans for the final week of the season, or at least a couple games down the stretch. Kuminga's already picked up his production recently over the past 4 games, averaging 18 points, 5 rebounds, 1.6 stocks. Just a solid option who's available in over 50% of leagues, that if you need a streaming option, he's a guy who, especially the final week of the season, I like a bit more.
Well, your point about Bagley, I actually messaged this in our chat the other day. I think it's an interesting stat about him. He's tied for first on the team with average fantasy points over the past 15 games. Him and Killian Hayes are both averaging 30. And Bagley actually has the biggest fantasy game of anybody on the Pistons over the past 15. So, yeah, there are going to be some games where he doesn't do as well if everyone's healthy. But the upside is definitely there. I'm going to keep it rolling with Golden State, though. I have a bit of a deep cut. Gary Payton Jr. for the Golden State Warriors, 6% rostered. Shannon is shaking his head on the podcast video right now. Payton has been out since early February. This is my deep league suggestion, okay? My long shot.
Your
Give
long
me a break here.
Your long shot defensive specialist pick, yes.
Payton's been out since early February due to an adductor injury that basically held up the three-team trade at the deadline, but he might return as soon as Sunday. Andrew Wiggins, who knows? That absence is murky. There's no updates. It sounds very possible that he will not come back this season. And we also, I think they just need experienced role players and not just veterans, guys who know Steve Kerr's system. Payton is that guy.
You're terrifying Anthony Lamb managers at this point.
Yeah.
Yes. I will. I'll
He's
give you
Anthony Lamb. What?
I'll give you that, Al. I'll give you that, Al. If you're in a league that's deep enough to roster Anthony Lamb, Gary Payton,
Thank you.
Junior, or the third or the fourth, whichever one he is
The
definitely
second.
worth
I shouldn't call him Junior. He's Gary Payton the second. I apologize to the Payton family.
Let's go to my long shot of the week. Is actually an Alex favorite. Quentin Grimes of your New York Knicks only managed in 11% of Yahoo leagues. Some tiny number on ESPN. He's starting, as Alex has been pointing out for numerous episodes. I'm a little worried about Jalen Brunson's hand injury. Also, hey, check your waiver wire to see if Emmanuel Quickly is available. He's only managed in 63% of Yahoo leagues. Grimes, though, last 4 games, almost 15 points, a steal, and almost 4 threes per contest. The Knicks have 4 games next week, including some sweet matchup with the Rockets and the Wizards. Quentin Grimes, playing significantly more minutes than Gary Payton II, is my long shot of the week.
If they play the same amount of minutes, Payton would crush Quentin Grimes.
It'd be a defensive battle royale.
Grimes had a back-to-back 20-point games. Was great against Orlando.
Yeah.
His shot is so quick. That's a huge part of his game. Is like they just pass it to him and it's in the basket before you even realize he shot it. So as long as Brunson remains out, Grimes is going to be, I think, fantasy relevant.
The Knicks are fairly locked into the 5th spot. I think, though, we'll see if the heat up, but they have lost 3 in a row, though. So maybe they'll rush Brunson back. We'll find out.
All right, Shannon, who's your long shot?
My long shot of the week is Ochai Agbaji for the Utah Jazz. He has been locked in the starting lineup. He's actually started 10 straight games for the Jazz, basically filling in for Jordan Clarkson over that stretch. He's picked up his production recently over the past 4 games, averaging 32.5 minutes, 16 points, 3.3 rebounds. Not doing much on the defensive end, but he is hitting 3.3 3-pointers per game over that stretch. Decent shooting percentages as well, 51% and 78. Agbaji should be locked in to 30 plus minutes for as long as Jordan Clarkson's out. And as I mentioned earlier, I believe that could be the remainder of the season. Agbaji just went off for a career high 27 points against the Sacramento Kings earlier this week. He's available in, a lot of leagues,
Yes.
most of the leagues.
Yeah.
He is available he's only rostered 19% of Yahoo and 3% of ESPN. Absolutely one of my favorite pickups this week.
Agbaji, he's a money ball player. He's threes and layups. 31% of his shots come from the corner. Takes a decent amount at the rim. He's a good athlete. He actually has 0 long mid-range attempts this season. None.
Perfect. Well, and frankly, it's a rookie like Agbaji that they want to give minutes to when they decide to pack it in for the year. They don't need more Jordan Clarkson minutes. They want to develop the young talent, plan for next season. Him and Kessler, get them playing together out there, get the kids out there.
Yeah, first team All-American with Kansas, Big 12 player of the year last season, averaged 19 points per game for the Jayhawks. He's a legit talent.
Ken, who's your boring pick?
Oh, my boring pick of the week. Another pod favorite, Andrew Nembhard, point guard, it's called point guard and shooting guard for your Indiana Pacers. Managed in 27% of Yahoo leagues, only 7% of ESPN. Pacers have 4 games next week as well. We've been talking about Tyrese Halliburton is probably shut down for the rest of the season. Anyway, last 7 games for Nembhard, over 17 points a contest, over 5.5 assists, which is huge. So hard to find assists off the waiver wire, while shooting a quality 52% from the field, which includes 2 triples a game. So Nembhard finishing strong for a Pacers squad. Nothing to play for. They should be playing rookies like Nembhard. Love him as a boring pickup of the week. And again, the Pacers have 4 games next week.
And I'm going to push back on the Halliburton being shut down notion just because he's currently listed as questionable for Friday night's game. And, you know, the Pacers came out last week and said he'll miss the next 3 games at least. And I feel like if they already knew he was going to, they knew he was going to miss more time, I think they would have announced that. And he would not be listed questionable, you know, 6, 7, 8 hours before game time tonight.
I think
Nembhard,
the main
though,
thing,
still starting. Nembhard's still starting.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think the main thing with Nembhard is you just like to see the increased shooting attempts. There were a lot of points in the season where he would start and take like 8 shots. He's being a lot more aggressive, so I think you can add him with some confidence because even if Halliburton does come back, I think he'll be shooting more than he was before.
Try RotoWire free. Go to rotowire.com/try and unlock the paywall by putting in your email.